You are on the Six Screens Telenetwork, the go-to site for your infinite source of precise, reliable, and factual material exposing the Watchtower organization.
Well, hello everybody, and my name is Rick Farron, and we're coming to you from the hub of the universe, right up here in Massachusetts. And we have a program coming up now, and her name is Gail. She's a former Jehovah's Witness from Houston, Texas. And the name of the program is After the Storm. So let's bring Gail on right now, and we can say hello to her. Hello, Gail.
Hi, Rick.
Well,
How are
my
you?
well, there you are. I'm doing good. You're looking spiffy tonight. Looks like you're moving in the right direction. We're gonna have a good program tonight. I can just tell because when it gets cold outside, Gail, I don't know if you know it or not, but up here in Boston, we were so cold last night. It was unbelievable. It was 15 below zero.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you about that because
Yeah,
I thought it was negative 30,
yeah.
15 below. Wow.
Well, it was negative. Actually, it was actually more than negative 30 with the wind chill. We had the wind blowing. The wind was actually blowing 18 to 20 miles an hour. But
Wow.
a record was broken 150 miles north of here, up in northern New Hampshire,
Yeah.
almost on the Canadian border. Mount Washington, they recorded last night, they recorded the lowest temperature ever in the United States in history. It was they had the wind blowing on Mount Washington at 128 miles an hour,
Mhm.
and the temperature was like 38. So they said it was 108 degrees with the wind chill, the lowest ever
Wow.
recorded in the United States. Can you imagine that? That's unbelievable.
Yeah. My uncle in New York, he felt it. He's upstate New York and he got winds of like 75 miles an hour. But
Did he?
yeah, that's unbelievable.
Isn't that something, huh?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We
Well, anyway,
warmed up just north of us in Dallas, it was really they were we were under a freeze, 4-day freeze, but it was north, more up in Dallas. But today it was like 62 degrees, so I'm thawing out.
did I bet you were cold at 62.
Oh, sort of, but I'm not gonna complain after what you guys went through, so I'm
Well, no,
happy.
I remember, in fact, I lived here in Massachusetts all of my life, but in 1985, I moved to Florida for 10 years. And I can remember the first year I moved down there, it was 60 degrees, and I saw people driving in their cars with earmuffs on. And I'm saying, my goodness, I mean, they're cold at 60. You get used to it being warm, and then when it gets a little bit cool, you feel it. But anyway,
Right.
it's I'll tell you, it's nice to be in a nice warm area. So I'm glad for you. You're looking good tonight. It looks like you're on the sun, bathing in the sun today, or what?
Well, I do sit in front of my window a lot. I
Do you?
catch the sun. Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, you're looking good. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Thank you.
anything on the agenda tonight you're going to be talking about?
No, well, I wanted to let our audience know that my guest had to reschedule. He didn't realize I was on every other week. So I think he was prepared last week, to come on last week, but he'll be on next week. That's Dom the hypnotist.
Oh,
So we kind of have something else that we're going to talk about tonight. And this one was inspired by Delon, 10 reasons why Jehovah's Witnesses are unhappy.
well,
So
that
yeah,
sounds pretty good. But I'll tell you what, that hypnotist, was that Corey? Are you saying Dom?
Cody,
Uh,
Cody.
Cody, right. Boy, I'll
Hmm.
tell you what, he was a big hit. They're still talking about Cody. They really are. He liked being on there too. He enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
We
was
talked
good.
after the show. I tried to, I tried to give him a heads up. He didn't know anything about the organization, and we talked after the show, and he was like, "Wow, I get it now. I get it now." So yeah, you don't
Well,
get it. Like this is why this is a niche network. We're among people who get it. And I saw the comments, like this guy doesn't understand what we've been through, and I get that. But he's starting to understand now the struggles that we face coming out. But we have to continue to be here for each other, and that's why let me just I have to give it up to you and Linda. You've been at this 17 years. Linda is on every Saturday night, and when I realized I didn't have a guest tonight, I thought, wow, maybe I could take the night off. But I'm like, "No, you guys show up every single weekend, so you keep me going, you keep me inspired." And so, yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that, but it's persistence, Gail. Well, what I find is people really rely on this. They really do. People coming in real time and talking like yourself and Linda and the other programs we have. There's a lot of people out there right now. I'll tell you right now that there's people out there that are being shunned. They might be sitting on a chair somewhere. They might be laying in a bed somewhere, and their whole world has been taken away from them because of the Watchtower.
That's true. Yeah.
And to be able to listen in real time, and it's different than YouTube when it's already up and loaded. You can make comments, but this is different. You can talk in real time, and you can get your feelings, your frustrations. You can share those, and that's very important for people. Very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I realize that. So, that
Well,
keeps me going because when I was coming out, I wish I knew of a community like this and I didn't. So, yeah, you guys inspire me. And Linda's on for what, 9 to 11 hours? And
yeah. Well,
she's amazing.
I'll tell you. Last weekend she went till it was like 12 hours.
12 hours. My
Yeah.
gosh.
I mean, I don't know how she does it either. But, all night long. In fact, sometimes, I can't listen to it all. I got a little bed here in my studio, but, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning going over the news for the day and what have you.
Yeah.
But, I just can't stay up for 24 hours, so I'll kinda doze off, but, gee, she has people calling in from all over the world, uh, early in the morning. They're calling in from the UK, Australia, so
Mhm.
it's amazing to me, and she loves it. It's her cup of tea, and she does good, and you do good. We get a lot of good comments about you too, Gail, and they
Thank
love
you.
you. You're making a real impact on, many people listening. I get I should send you some of the emails I get. They really do like you. You do a
Really? Thank
you
you.
well, they do. They like your personality. They like your interviewing style. So when I get these emails, I'm gonna send you some that I got, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, I'll step out of the scene. I'll let you do your thing. I'll get out of your way, but I'm here if you need me, Gail, okay?
Thank you, Rick. Okay.
Hi, Gail.
Hello. Hi, Fran. How are you? Well,
Good. We just wanted to say hello before we went to bed.
yes, yes. So I just wanted to welcome everybody to another episode of After the Storm. I'm your host, Gail, and as I said earlier, I don't have a guest tonight because he thought we were on last week, but he will be here in 2 weeks, which is that's right after Valentine's Day, February 18th. So be sure to come back for that. But Fran, hang tight. If you guys are here with us, if you heard Fran's announcement that Joe and Fran will be rolling through Texas and they would like to do a meetup. They made that announcement on the previous show, The Outside Story. I love it. That was a great interview, guys. That was a great interview with Ken. Fran, are you still there? Fran?
Thank you. Yeah, Joe's here too.
No, Ken is a great inspiration for us.
Yeah. He got me pumped. He was so lively and pumped to see, like, Dan said, he came out and he landed on his feet and he's doing what he does best, helping other people. And that's what we try to do is help people recover after the storm because it really is like, when you get out of it, when the sun is shining, you're like, What happened?" And so you're among a group of people who have been through similar situations as yourself, and hearing those stories is a sort of healing, but you never know who else is listening on the other line. People who are in the organization, we call them PMOs, or people who are having doubts, and they stumble upon this program and they think to themselves, well, I'm not so crazy after all. So we
Yep.
serve as a sort of validation for those people. Yes.
there's a lot of people that listen in because we've talked to them on the phone, and they
Hmm.
can't call in because they'll, you know, they want to be under cover.
Yeah,
But they're listening and they're taking it in, and it really, really encourages them.
that's good to hear. That's good to hear. So
Yeah,
some days you feel like
you
you
have
don't
a
want to show up, you want to give up.
right.
Those are the reasons that keep us
Uh,
going. Hmm. So,
yeah, when I have those days, when I have a bad day, usually it follows with, like, we get this wonderful call from someone who saw us either on Rick's show or on Wendy's show, or it's just, it makes our day.
yeah, yeah. So, okay, are you ready to talk about the announcement that you guys made on the previous show, your road trip? Let's go ahead and do it. So,
We
we are 2 months away, April 1st, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're starting the road trip actually the Sunday before, because, like
Oh,
Ken said, we're
wow.
going to be going to Alabama. We're going to spend
Mhm.
some time with him and Dina. And then we are going to Mississippi. We're going to spend a night in Mississippi. And then we are going to be in Fort Worth it'll be a Saturday, April 1st.
Okay.
Something planned that day, but April 2nd, we were going to try to get together with you. We were talking about a meetup. Either you're in Houston, or we'll be in Fort Worth, but we can travel to Houston. Wherever there's the most people, we can have a meetup with on that April 2nd. So if anybody's listening, or you know somebody in the area you'd like to meet up with us, we'd love to see you in person.
Awesome. So, April 2nd will be the official Joe and Fran meetup in so what do you think? Should we put a poll up in the Six Screens Facebook group to see where
Sure.
people, yeah, to see where people would, uh, what would be more convenient for them? Would it be Houston or Dallas? And I was saying, Fran, if it was like a 50-50 split, like I would do the
Yeah.
Houston meetup on April the 1st, and I'll drive up
Yeah.
to meet you guys because you're going to be on the road by then 10 days. I'd hate for you to come down to Houston. So if it's like a 50-50
Well,
split, like some people are in Houston and some are in Dallas, I can host the April 1st one, and then I'll be more than happy to drive up because it's only 4 hours for me. So I'll be happy to drive up
whichever
to
works out.
Dallas.
Yeah, we're
Huh?
flexible too, right, honey? Yeah. Yeah, Joe said we're flexible too. So, I mean, if there's a lot more people that want to meet in Houston, we can drive to Houston. It's only 4 hours after driving from New York. But we're breaking it up. So we're breaking it up. We're taking time. It's not going to be crazy.
Right. Okay. So we'll get that poll up, you guys, next week in the Six Screens Facebook group. We'll get the poll up and see which location, Houston or Dallas. I already have a location in mind for the Houston area. I think we have to scope out Fort Worth and Dallas and see what would be a central location. But yeah, that's the exciting announcement that we have tonight, the first Six Screens meetup. So
Yeah.
I can't see the
So,
chat. Yeah.
when we're in Fort Worth, we're going to be staying. We're going to be. Where's that? Where's Jason? Stockyard. It's called Stockyard. If anybody's
Stockyard? Okay.
Stockyard, that's where we're going to be, and we're going to be staying. We're going to get there. We plan on getting there Friday night, and then Saturday all day. Actually, if anybody's interested, this is what we're coming for. It's called Archaics, and we've been following. He does not have anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses, but his name is Jason Brashears, and he's doing his first Archaics convention, and we've been following him on YouTube. So that's going to
Yeah.
be all day at the Stockyards on April 1st. That's why we have to be there. But then after that, our schedule is open. The goal is to from Texas on to New Mexico, Arizona. We've got a lot of people in California we want to meet, and
Wow.
way back. So we're just kind of going to play it. We're going to see what happens. We're hoping to get a car when we're down south. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. So we'll see.
I'm so excited. When we first talked about this, I got so excited. I can't wait to meet you. Yeah.
What?
Gail, I just thought this is like a clock. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Joe's been working on some very tricky clocks lately.
Fran's working on some very tricky schedule.
Oh, dear. But it'll come together.
Yeah.
And, so we're going to be in Alabama. We're actually leaving New York. It'll be Sunday, March. What did I do?
28th.
Here it is. Yeah, 26.
26th. Yeah, I see it.
26th. So our first stop is going to be in Tennessee on the 27th, and then we're going to spend the night in Alabama. We'll be in Alabama Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. We're going to be in Penn's area, which is Fort Payne, Alabama. If anybody's in that area, they want to meet up. Maybe we can work out something. And then on the 30th,
This session is no longer being recorded.
On the 30th, we're going to be in Jackson, Mississippi, just for the night. And then we're going to be driving Friday to Fort Worth and spending the night.
Wow. Did you say Tennessee as well? Didn't you say Tennessee
Yes.
was one of your stops? Wow, I'm so excited.
One step. Yeah.
And
Wants to have us for lunch. So we've got that on the 27th.
yeah, okay. And so April 1st is show night. So I have it on my calendar every other Saturday. And so if we
Yeah.
meet in Houston, wherever, and I know the place that I have in mind, they have like a back room. We'll be doing the show from that place. So after the storm, we'll be on location on April the 1st.
Wow. That would be
hmm Yeah.
so then you can actually have some people there live.
Yeah, we'll have some people there live. We'll do live interviews. I hope, I don't know how the audio is going to come through, but yeah, we'll be doing live interviews on the spot. If the location is Houston. If it's Dallas, I'll do the show here from home and drive up to meet you guys. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess it's all up to the folks that are interested in the first Six Greens meetup.
First, yep.
Yeah. Is someone on the phone?
I thought I heard someone too. Yeah.
You caught me.
There you are. Come on in.
It's John from the Pacific Northwest. We'll leave it at that because I have to be careful.
Hi,
Yeah.
John. Sure, I understand.
John,
yeah.
did we talk to you?
Yeah. I called you about
Okay.
3 or 4 weeks ago, and then
I remember
Yes,
that.
we remember.
you guys are doing a tour and everything. You're such a hit.
It's gonna kill us.
I love the apostate cookies.
Yeah.
Wait, did you get some?
No, you told me how to get them, but I haven't. I got to watch my sugar.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We'll have to work out something for that.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I just popped in, and I'm here. You're going to do a meetup, huh?
Well, we're working on it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that could be nice.
Yeah,
A little
with,
far from me, and have it-
yeah, if I don't know how far up we're going,
Yeah.
probably not this point.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try to get to Southern California if it works out.
Yeah.
That's all Joe's been saying is like, yeah.
Yeah. As long as I keep saying yeah, it's okay. But change it. No, it's a different story.
Don't forget, Joe was the open person coming
very
into this
open.
organization, so we have to make sure he's happy.
Oh, I'm happy.
You know,
No, I have a very good imagination. Very good imagination. So I imagine a very good thing, a very good time.
Yeah.
Joe,
Me too. I think it's going to be
Joe,
fun.
I saw yeah, I saw the end of the Ken Mayo interview there. I didn't catch all of it, but I seen him interviewed before. He's a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
yeah, he was on Wendy Renee.
There's a lot of guys.
Yeah, okay. And you guys were too. Your interview was
Yeah.
really good. Not long ago.
Thank you. No, just a couple weeks ago. But they do. Rick does record that, so you can catch the whole thing if you go back.
Yeah.
I have to remark, and what Ken said, and I truly appreciate this. For me, it's very meaningful. The idea was that the elders are supposed to be the angels in the congregation. Well, I can't say that I experienced that very well.
You and me.
But what I can say is Ken is living up to that now that he's out, and that truly is an example to me. And I appreciate that. And this is where you have to stick with something to see the good and extract the good from it, and to move forward. And
it's a reality life experience that just is there. And if you make it too big, that is the traumatic element. You have to kind of just take your own responsibility in hand. There's red flags all over the place, and they were tactically harmful, and you figure that out and you just back away on the spot. Just get out.
That's right. No, we have that responsibility and the ability both.
And the responsibility of healing rests on us. We can't change what happened to us. We're responsible for our own healing now. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's there. That's the important thing people need to really zero in on, is it's healing is there. It doesn't have to happen fast. It's not like a light switch, but it is the mission, and you have to feel good about it because it's there.
Yeah.
And we found the more we involve ourselves with other people, the healing is so much quicker. It's like if you isolate yourself, that's not good. I mean, that's even what the scripture says that. So the more we, and Ken obviously is living proof of that. He's involving himself with people and helping people, and really it takes the focus off of ourselves. Yeah,
and that's good health. That's when Ken, you talked about that thing about an angel. There's one particular elder that I was close to the situation when the Candace Conti case. Are you familiar with it?
A little bit, yeah.
It's a famous CSA case.
Yeah.
She was a grown up, and she brought the suit about this guy, and man, it was like it was bubbling all around me. But they have that ability to keep it under wraps to some degree. So the only way I think I told this to you and Joe and Fran on the phone, that I was driving home on the freeway and it came up on the radio about the court, the settlement issue, or actually a judgment of $26 million. And I'm driving home commuting going, wow, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then the name of the guy, right? So what I came to find out is that, unbeknownst to me, this is just like a simmering thing. And there was one elder who was objecting to the hiding this story because he knew that the Fremont congregation where Jonathan Kendrick came from, moving to the new one with the letter informed the area where I was in nothing about him being dangerous in any way. And then
Wow.
something current came up, and it got ugly. And my point is that the one elder stood up, and he's out of the religion, and he was talking in one interview I caught, I think it was with Fifth, and he said that he sees those guys around town and they know. And so these elders carry a huge burden. It's totally incongruent psychology to, be so concerned about morality and righteousness, and then have this kind of stuff to dance through. It's just ridiculous. And their place, it turns out to be anything but God's favor.
It's the stuff of the deepest psychological aberration. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. And here people would gravitate to it for the deepest of spiritual value. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Unless, of course, the two are congruent. Religious is the deepest of psychological aberration. I don't know.
That's why the term waking up is so right on spot. Because when you wake up, you go back and go, oh my goodness, look at what we did here, And, I served as a mother for a couple, 3 years.
Did you?
And,
Okay.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
What was great about it?
Yeah.
Did you say it was great? Oh,
crazy.
crazy. I'm sorry. You said it was crazy. Okay.
Yeah, it was very crazy. What was crazy about it? Well, everything about it is the same pattern that you see in most of the stories. I could tell probably about 8 good stories of elder issues and meetings. Believe me, I got to write a book. You're talking about 4 decades. And my circumstances were such that my wife and I had amazing stories, amazing things. And I have to kind of be careful because, as I think I told Joe and Fran, I have a son that's a full-blown believer that lives here at the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He has drug history. You know how traumatizing it is to come to terms with it. So I'm kind of letting him manage himself, and for the time being, it's a pseudo 12-step thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
These things about suicide and everything give you pause. I mean, it's like some people have reasoned that, would you tell a person who let their kid die from a blood transfusion, would you just slam him with the facts? I mean, you have to be cautious. It's not easily traversed.
So, John, I have a question for you, which is my burning question to every ex-elder that I speak to. When you received the Shepherd of the Flock book, what were your thoughts?
A lot of this has nothing to do with the Bible. I had no problem seeing that. But at the time, it's like a person goes to Bethel. I saw a kid that went to Bethel, came back and gave a local talk. I went and saw the talk.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know him. It's like, oh, this Bethelite's coming to sing. And this kid being in Bethel 1 year, and people were up to after he gave the talk, and they had talking and chatting. I heard him say, so what's it like in Bethel? And he says, well, when you get there, you find out it's a business. And little did he know how real that is, the story, but still he just gave a nice talk. He's going to go back and serve. And it doesn't click that, you're so buried in that you're trying to make sense out of it. And that's the pattern of your mind. It's like Joe says, they make beta men.
Yeah.
So that's a conditioning thing. So that when you're confronted with something that goes, this is nuts, it's immoral, whatever, if you were your own identity, if you were your real person, but you've already been bending that. So when you read these crazy things, and believe me, stuff in that Shepherd book is crazy. It's not hitting you the way it should. So you just kind of pass through it. I didn't get too troubled by that, but I had other experiences as an elder that were mind-boggling. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy running, an elder. You're in a meeting with 9 elders. One of them runs out and he's falling apart and everything else because some problem in his family. It turned out to be very serious with the police.
Okay.
And he was coaxed down and covered, and I was going, well, it's none of my business. I don't know all the details. So it just works like that. And that thing about the Elder's book, I mean, I tell my wife that, you know, if you violated our marriage, I'd be in on the meeting. If I violated our marriage, you would know a thing about it.
That's the point. That's what I wanted to ask you about. I saw that in the elders book. I saw that point. Plus, if as an elder you admit to an old sin, that it's kept among the body of elders and they can decide whether to keep you as an elder or not to disfellowship you, but the conversation is not to disfellowship you. The conversation is whether you remain an elder or not. And I was blown away by that because that's a double standard, a standard for the elders and a standard for the rank and file.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
I break in here a second?
Yes.
Sure.
Well,
I'll let you. It's not my fault.
okay. Oh, thanks. Okay. Fran and I were having a discussion, and considering everything that we've been observing and listening and watching, and things are being normalized.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say normalized, they're made to seem like they're normal. For example, in some cultures, child brides are normal.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at that and say, oh, that's terrible. Oh, it's horrible. How could anyone do that? You know, an old man would take a little girl, and that's his bride. And in that culture, things go that maybe in our culture are taboo. In that culture, cool, normal. We're watching and experiencing things take place in the organization that we were a part of that are normalizing those things. And it feels like the Elder Book was designed to help that come about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it seems.
Yeah. The authoritarian stuff. And, you know, from the get-go, it put on the new personality.
Yeah.
Which is basically take your identity and put it on the shelf. And I will say, when I listen to people who are raised in it, I can see a big difference where I had a identity, you know, that I could go back and recapture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some, you know, I mean, the experience is still there. But the ones that are raised in the religion, man, oh my goodness. I used to think that was the greatest thing. I wish I was raised in the religion.
No. I would call that. Yeah. Well, what I'm afraid of is that just as this whole society is going pansexual, normal.
Mm-hmm.
Normal.
Mm-hmm.
Normal. You want to be another sex? Normal.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do it without you checking with your parents? Normal.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors doing that?
Yep.
Butchering people? Normal. And the list goes on to the deepest and the worst things that we can think imaginable, including pedophilia.
That's right.
This is
not
crazy.
just in the organization, by the way. We more than ready to tell anybody. I mean, my wife, she knew a lot about that, and she says, "Wait a minute, that's all over the place," and she's been totally correct.
Right.
And then Barbara Anderson, I've heard her when she was trying to get it across to those guys in the governing body when she was doing all the research and knowing about all this stuff. she was sympathetic to the problem it was, but see, I'll say this: I was at the very end of my service as an elder. There was an elder school in 1995, and 2,000 elders in an assembly hall, and the big takeaway all day long, most of it, 50% or more, was the two-witness rule. The two-witness rule, and that's the era of Ted Jerricks. When you find out how much he got in the way of, there were people in there, and they said they have the same struggle with the blood thing currently. They do, and you know that legally they can't back out of that. So they paint themselves in a corner all the time. And where is this Holy Spirit on that?
There is no Holy Spirit. No, I'm totally convinced that if you can think of the worst, lowest, most base behavior that human beings can practice, that will be normalized. It will be normalized. And I honestly, I truly believe that the Watchtower has been an experiment that the government winks at and says, go for it. You do it.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that as a real probability.
I truly mean it. And I think the worst of the worst is their agenda. I really do. Yeah, I really do. And
You're right, Joe. The United Nations, to be exact. When you say government, the United Nations, to be exact. That's just me, allegedly.
A world government that we haven't yet seen, but probably will if they get their way. And honestly, it's a world I don't want to live in. I just don't want to live in.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting how that's the outlook for the longest time, but it's been watered down when they were in the United Nations as an NGO. You know, I mean, we used to worry about it was very clear to me. When you go back, it's so interesting. They think they can erase the old things they emphasize, and the great example of that is I'm pre-75. Yeah,
me too.
I know what I heard. I know what I heard. I knew what the vibe was. I knew all that. In fact, it affected my decision to study more sincerely. So here's the rub. When you see that video they put out in 2016 or 17 at the convention, and they have this figure that's the grandfather type talking to his grandson, and he says, back in those days, there were those silly people who sold their houses and quit their jobs. And it shows him kind of standing back in that era. And let me tell you, it was anything but like that. It was, if you were the person that said, and my wife said this to her Bible study several times, she said, the Bible says no man knows the day or the hour. That's what Jesus taught, you know? And then she would say, well, you know, the study she had. And what happens is there's certain momentum in the Bible study. And when they actually gloss over things that you really need to stop and pause about, there's a flow. It's like my mother is in the religion, and along the way she says, I don't know if I could ever preach. And I looked at her, and I was still in, and I said, oh, Mom, don't worry, you'll get it, you'll be doing it. And it's the flow. It's the momentum of the culture around you. So back in those days, when they showed that video, that you can't gaslight me any more than that. Yeah, I was waking up when that happened, and I'm going, oh my goodness, look at how far they go. They're counting on me passing off into death. They're just going to make 1975 like it never happened even at all. Right?
Yeah.
They did that in 1914. If you go back and check it out, that's what's really happened in 14. Same thing.
No,
And we don't know we don't know the stories of any of those people. That's what's so sad. The history is erased. You know, those people, you know, when 1914 or 1925 came and went, we don't know the history of those people, but it's recorded now because we have YouTube, we have the internet, you know.
Well, you get the shunning. The shunning causes suicide Well, back in those days, people suicided over having sold their house and quit their job and ran their credit cards up. They were minded
Okay.
by the fact that they.
Really? Wow.
John,
Yeah, I know.
John, how old were you when you came into the organization?
I started studying when I was 21.
Okay.
Just a little, about 21, and then I was baptized about a year later.
Okay, so you saw 75?
Yes, I did.
Okay, see, Joe and I
Wow.
we didn't come in until 85. We didn't know anything about witnesses other than they go to your door. And in 76, we were married. 75 didn't mean anything to us.
No.
I mean,
That's,
I was
that's,
teaching and Joe was going to college. So we had no
Well,
idea it was 75.
my wife is outspoken. She knows it was something. I remember one time in the circuit overseer, and this was about maybe it's right around 75, maybe even as late as 76. And Don Nelson, who's pretty well known, he's been interviewed on YouTube. He was a Gilead grad, and he was in. And I hate to say, because now they're gonna. You Watchtower people listening, you're trying to peg me, aren't you? So I got to be careful, Don Nelson. But in any case, let me run it past where. So he was part of some stirring about like this 75 thing's getting overblown. And so when the circuit overseer came in, that was going on in the congregation I'm in. And this is what my wife and I vividly remember. And his name was Waddington. And he used to be a politician. He was very dynamic. And he says, this is what he said in his talk. He goes, some of you brothers think we've gone too far now, talking about the end of the system. And he goes, whoa, like that's real spooky for you to not agree that we're right on the edge of the end of the world. So we remember it was all over the place like that. We got to stay alive till 75. I've seen Sinutko speak, Charles Sinutko, so many Sutherland, so many very dynamic back in those days. There was a lot more legitimacy because they were within the parameters of the generation. Where are we now with that? You were still, there was a legitimate generation story, although, even the recent 2014 issue of the Purple Book on page 50, I think it's paragraph 50 or on the left column, it says they go into all the things that they foretold moving toward 1914, including the parousia was in 1878, or 74, I forget. So they did move the goalposts, and they're still doing it. But back then, there was such a momentum. There was tremendous enthusiasm and growth, and it was a different religion then. We had people making comments that were so detailed and biblical, and now it's all simple. You don't even have to have a brain.
Yeah, I think it was very systematic. It was a very, very, the deepest wisdom of humans was employed with this. I really don't think it was an evolved process. I really don't. I think the goal was stated from the beginning, and there were ones that know humans better than we know ourselves. And, but they lack love. They lack love. And I don't know how to say this any other way, but there are certain humans that aren't like us, and they lack love. It's just not a part of it's not a part of the DNA.
It's like watching unnamed politicians, and better than recently I heard one of them say that our economy is doing great. The TV, journalists are going, yeah, you heard it. Yeah, we're going right along with that. That's the problem.
And there are people that will regurgitate that because they don't research it for themselves. They'll regurgitate that. I see the pattern. But
Oh,
John,
It's-
yeah.
the bumper
Yeah.
sticker, the bumper sticker on the back of the car said, "Don't lie. The government hates competition." Yeah.
That's a good one.
Number, my father worked for the government all his life, and he flat out said, "They lie." Period.
Yeah.
They lie. He was disgusted. Of course, he didn't mind accepting a check from them every month or every week. And of course, they get them, they sweet talk them into it in the beginning, like they do with the elders, and then they slip you into this situation,
Right.
circumstance where you can't really back out because you've got a lot of eyes looking at you, and and that's how it goes with humans. Be very careful what you want.
I think when they force lies, and of course, you know, the media guys that should be asking hard questions are getting their pockets lined. But when they tell lies, they gain tremendous power over you as a human soul. I think when you're operating on the idea, well, yeah, maybe that's a lie, but we can't do anything about it, is ridiculous. I mean, that's just, lies are not
right. Honestly, I believe that the attitude is that it's important that they lie to us because we're not, how do I want to say this? Not so much that we can't handle the truth, but the truth destabilizes us. So we're not supposed to get the truth. The truth is only for certain situations. Humans, you don't tell the truth to. You tell them a story. You tell them a story. Yep. And even history is a story. It's a story, but it's not the truth. What the government tells us is a story. It's not true. What the media
and I always try to get a little leverage when you're trying to tell something that's uncommonly true. A little leverage goes, truth is not altered by what we believe. So
right.
It's just not going to move. You know, we get to find it and cherish it and live by it if we want to. But, you know,
I think we have to live two separate realities, in fact. I really do. Because we're not going to get along with people around us if we attempt to, you know, live by most of the truth that we know to be. We're just not going to get along with people.
It's true. You're right. You have to be aware.
Yeah, there are those people who literally can't do that. They don't function.
And that's Joe. Tell me what you think. That's what's powerful about the layers of lies, the sea of lies, the ocean of lies. Because for you to tell the truth, you got to start sounding like crazy. You have to unravel so many connected lies, and nobody has time for that. See, the tidal wave is lies. You're just a little drop.
All right. No.
Yeah.
We're humans. We live by stories. We live by stories.
And you see how they do it. I mean, look, by 1980, history was whitewashed that Joe and Fred never even heard about it. And I do see a pattern, John, that after a failed prophecy, some building project comes about. Because I do remember 1975. My parents sold the house we were living in, or, you know, we went to live with another family. And then it didn't happen in 1975. And so they had to build another house. And then 3 years later, we left and came to the States. But right before, in 1978, they started building a new Kingdom Hall in the area. 3 years later, and so that's exactly what's happening now. You know, the end of the last of the last days was 2020, and you know, you can't deny we're going through some sort of huge change. You know, we're going through the fourth industrial revolution, technology wise. Money is changing. You can see something is happening, but you also see the witnesses are building another. They've started another building project, and so for the people who, when they go to jw.org, it looks like a Christian organization and they see the building or whatever, they're going to fall for it, not knowing what came
Gail,
before it.
please. Gail, please.
Yeah? What?
It's like a Christian. Oh my goodness. Oh, you said it looks like a Christian organization. How does it look like that?
When you read the articles on JW, I've had people, new friends that I meet, and they go on there and they read it. They read because you have public articles of Watchtower, the public edition and the study edition. The public edition makes it sound like a Christian organization. If you look up, do Jehovah's Witnesses believe in shunning? You look it up on jw.org and you read that article, and it sounds like no, they don't. But we know what those who are in the organization know better. Yes, it is total, complete shunning. So there's again a double standard, one for the public, one for those that are in. And that's the point I want to drive home tonight.
Okay, but
Yeah.
even if you listen to some of the fundamental, I'm going to call it, what would they be called? Saved by Christ Christians.
Born again?
Well, I guess so. But,
They call them evangelical.
Relationship with Christ, accepted. You know, they're the ones that they felt it, they've seen it, they live it, they speak it. They don't think they don't see Christianity in Jehovah's Witnesses at all. They see it.
Well, maybe I'm giving them too much credit then.
Well, I think you are. Honestly, Gail, you really are. You are. They just use Jesus Christ as window dressing. He's window dressing.
There's definitely a difference between the public Watchtower and the study.
Exactly.
It's like Mark Martin did he did the review of I think it was the third weekend in January and then the fourth. They were tied together. And in that first article, he said Jesus' name was in the article once, and the organization was 26 times.
Heard that one. Yeah.
And Christians, real Christians, Joe.
That was last week's study article? Yeah.
Yeah, or the week before.
Mm-hmm.
Is the last
very soon.
48, 39, something like that. Check it out.
There's going to be a time very soon, but when they're not even going to mention Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Believe they barely do now. I mean, it's like every institution is Tony Morris.
Yeah, they're going to convert him to Satan the devil.
Yeah,
they'll convert him to Satan the devil. I'm telling you, there's some very interesting things in front of us. Very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, the pressure is great, and for whoever much is given, much will be asked. So those guys, those governing body guys, I don't know how they sleep, man. I don't know
how they sleep. They have blood on their hands.
They're not like
yeah.
They're not. They're just
And they're always telling you that you got blood on your hands.
Oh no.
Yeah,
you know, they can do anything they want. I'm no part of it. I am no part of what they're doing. No part.
Yeah.
Amazing. And here I have to reconcile the fact that my family, our children,
are in it.
I know.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Now
My heart goes out to you, Joe.
Well,
my heart goes out to you.
Thank you for the sentiment, but I won't even hazard a guess to think how they really feel.
Right.
Yeah.
You follow? I really,
yeah.
I will not. If someone asked me, so how do you kids really feel about it? I said, I really, really don't know. In our heart of hearts, you know, we have our feelings, and
yeah, we know what they say. We know what they're showing.
But they must be
we
going
don't know
through
what's in their
so
heart.
much turmoil.
Yeah.
So
well,
much
every
turmoil.
time I heard a disfellowship announcement, inside me something was not clicking.
Well,
It never clicked. It never made sense to me. It's way over
Before or after being an elder?
all the time. One time I
All
was
the time.
deal with I was in on the deal where a young girl had been involved with a guy. We never had a committee of three. We did not have a committee of three. She came back. She got reinstated maybe within a year and a half. And I was with the guy, and this guy was a mess of an elder. And my appeal to her was, well, let's take some time. It was just us two over there. Let's take some time and let's talk this through and just make sure, basically, I mean, she's, at the time, my thinking is you're out of line and you don't know it. Let's try to work with you. You're so young. We walked out. He goes, you heard what she said. She doesn't care. She doesn't want it back in. That's all we need to know. And they announced her. That's not even in the book.
Wow.
I had to put up with that kind of tyranny.
Wow.
And that you tell me that isn't a red flag.
no.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how that guy treated my wife. In certain scenarios, the story will go too long. But it's like I say, I could write a book. It's I've probably got 50 mind-blowing stories.
I'll be honest with you, John. The book has to be thrown away. I mean, I don't mean any negativity on your end, but I'm just saying the books we can write from what we have gone through, it needs to be thrown away.
Yeah,
because to carry that around.
Some people write them and they feel therapeutic. It's like coming out and getting interviewed, similar to this.
Well, you have to write
therapeutic to tell it.
Understand? You have to write the book before you can throw it away, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree with you. In other
You
words,
gotta
understand it. Now get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to keep living it. The person's going to keep living it, and they're going to keep living it, and they're going to keep, and that's the failure. And that's where they've conquered you. They've conquered you.
Cycling. Yeah.
But look how valuable Ray's book has been. It was written in 80 or 82. Look how valuable. Look how many people have woken up from that book. So I think it's a little piece of our history that we're leaving behind,
I love that
Yeah.
book, man. That book was really potent. And I'll tell you another one, and I think I've
Crisis of
mentioned
Conscience.
the book that's written by Carl Olaf Johnson. You don't
Mhm.
even have to grind the whole book. Just the forward of the book is just breathtaking. Because he just sits there and goes, 607, I'm running into this among interested people. He's pioneering. He's running the 607 into the conversation. And 2 or 3 times these educated people said, what are you talking about? You got to be kidding me, 607. And so then he goes in, he researches the whole thing. I mean, does a complete every angle treatise. I think he had about 5 treatises on it. Sent it all to New York and said, hey, what am I missing? Is the way that's all he did. He believes he's in the religion. And they didn't answer him for 3 months. Then they said, shut up. Then they went to Europe and started setting up the people are talking about the society misguided on the year. I think it was one of those old governing body guys. I'll think of his name later. But anyway, they went over there and started giving talks all over Europe about this crazy rumor.
Wow.
And all he wants is to be corrected and advanced by God's channel. You must know something everybody else doesn't know. And lo and behold, they're wrong.
They went on the defense. Can you share the name of that book, please?
It's Gentile Times Revisited, I think.
Okay.
Gentile Times by Carl Olaf Johnson. And you can get it on the internet, I think on a PDF form. I read it on the internet. I just read the forward and I was flabbergasted. But now
Wow.
it's just starting to get it all figured out. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
You know,
So
it's interesting. I've got to relate to you. There's a there's a series of human characteristics that indicate our ability to discern truth. It's really interesting. I mean, it helps us to kind of gauge who we are, what we are, where we're about. Let me just really quickly read. It's called the Hawkins scale.
Okay.
And this goes, it's picture of V. And on the bottom of that V is a characteristic. At the top of the characteristic of that V is another one. Well, the bottom of the V is there's the inability to discern. And the top of the V, the open part, is the ability to discern truth from falsehood. And now the characteristics that we carry or show or display are, starting from the very bottom, is shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. Now courage. Courage is like the halfway point, beyond the halfway. And that's the point where you can begin the ability to discern truth and falsehood. Beginning past pride into courage. And then from courage, it increases to neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and then finally the top, enlightenment. The only time you can start to discern truth from falsehood, the ability to discern, is after you've gotten over pride and you begin to display courage.
Courage, yeah. It takes courage to research. It takes courage to go against the grain. Wow.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
And then the next after courage is neutrality. Because think about this. And I found myself into this the other day when I was considering a situation. And in any situation that you get involved in with people, you will always be blocked into a corner of, so what do you think? Whose side do you take on this? Do you follow what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
So where do you stand on this? Okay? If you say,
yeah.
I'm neutral. I will not take sides. See, and that's the neutrality end. I will
Yeah.
not take sides. Because they're going to want to draw you into sides. They want an ally. People will always want an ally for the fight.
Right.
And that hence the question, where will you go? When you leave the organization, where will you go? Because if you're not, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got asked that question. And I said, I don't have to go anywhere.
Right. Neutrality. You jumped right to neutrality, Joe.
Yeah. And then after there's willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment.
Enlightenment.
Yeah, look it up. It's really very, very helpful. The Hawkins.
There's another one they use very quickly, like where will you go, which is do you believe that the governing body is the faithful and discreet slave?
Oh, look, my kids asked
And I'm
that
primed.
question.
I'm primed for that. Here's a good answer.
Oh,
You tell them,
God.
I believe exactly what Jeffrey Jackson believed. What's wrong with that?
That's right.
That's
That's
a
right.
good one.
That's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah.
Look, I'm with, no, in fact, you could even say, look, I'm with Jeffrey Jackson. Can I show you a video?
That's a good one.
I'm with him.
Let me show you a video. Oh, that's a made-up video. That's just patched in and all that stuff. Then why aren't they suing? You know.
Can't trust any of those things.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, I'm looking at my door frame. Across the top of a door frame, I had the notion it's on a strip. and it's and a paper so I can view it from the other side of the room. And on that it says, "And what business is that of yours?" Because so many times, you know, the society in all ways poke their nose into your business. Elders come over, they ask you questions. It says, "What business is that of yours?" It's like, I don't answer questions. You know, why should I and do that? You know, someone calls you on the phone. They ask you, "Oh, so what do you? How much do you pay for this?" Or, you know, they want to get you on their program or whatever. And you know, what business is that of yours?
And we felt compelled to give an answer because of the, you know, the pedestal that they were put on. We were compelled to answer their questions.
Oh, you don't want to lose the prize. See, it's our greed. I want that prize. I want everlasting life. I want to see my dead loved ones. I want to pet that panda. I want that house down the street that I've been eyeballing out in service. It's like, so they got you. They do a lot of damage to self-awareness. And mental health has a large part of self-awareness. So they mess around with boundaries and all kinds of things that like you brought out earlier, Joe, they normalize all this stuff. They normalize these questions on young sisters who had sexual problems with the rules of the organization, and then they pummel them with dirty questions, and they normalize it. It's like no big deal. You know, so some scared woman in a room full of men. You know, that's so crazy. You know, I warned Jeremy, our son-in-law. He was a born-in, married one of my daughters, and of course he probably sits in on those meetings on the judicial committees. And I said, you know, Jeremy, be careful, watch out. And then I related to him the fact that one of our nephews just completed the past year a course and became a court officer for a regular court of law officer. Now, it's like a fully decked out policeman, carries a gun, and everything else that goes along with that work. He's in court. He's in the court. And I said, Jeremy, be careful. So far, the sheep that you've been bullying in your courts have been peaceful so far. Watch out. Because there might come a time when they retaliate in a way that will impact you or your family tremendously. Yeah, sheep are growing teeth.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want them to bring recording devices in. How about not bringing a gun in? See, this is the day and age of, I'm not going to take this anymore. What right do they have to do this? They're going to take my thing. Look, they disfellowship a man. Now, his family is gone. He's not going to have interaction with his family, with his friends, his people. He's cut out of, his life has just been taken away from him by those men. Should he take kindly to that, or should he settle the score? You know, let's be practical. Let's be practical about this.
When you're talking about pre-trauma, in trauma, you know, people don't hold up real well to that stuff.
That's right. So, and there was a time when, you know, these are sheep-like people. You could do anything to them. You bully them. They'll just cower. They'll go away and cry or kill themselves. Well, this is the day and age where it's not quite the same anymore. The
experiment's not working. It's not working anymore.
Well, it's gone to the next level. And they know. See, the society knows it. They're very, very forward moving. They really are. They really are. They know the lab rats better than they know themselves.
Yeah.
So, Joe, in that regard, their only move now is to become more authoritarian, fighting more than.
Well, not just authoritarian. Yeah, well, yes and no. Yes and no. They got to be smart. For example, think of Hollywood. Hollywood has its followers, and they're becoming Hollywood. Mm-hmm. They're becoming Hollywood. Look what they did with Miss Serena. What the heck has she got to do with Jehovah's Witnesses? This larger than life, literally, creature that's poised as a Jehovah's Witness. It's like I scratch my head and say, if I were wanting to come into an organization and I saw someone like that here, I said, I don't want my family to be any part of this.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted to learn the Bible and figure out how we can contribute, how we can help people who in need. What's it's got to do with us? But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Hollywood culture.
He seems so together and measured and thoughtful when she gets interviewed. And yet some of the stuff she said about women's rights and all this stuff is fine, but it doesn't work with the attitude of the organization. And she's married to a guy who he moves and shakes with high rank monetary. He's a high finance rich guy. How's that working?
This is how
Yeah.
all over. Look, turn the page. The chapter ended. Turn the page. New chapter. New chapter. The chapter of Hollywood.
And it's convenient that she could have a career, finish her career, and then get baptized. Because had it been the other way around, she wouldn't have, had been able to have that career. So I thought it was really convenient.
Look, idols work. Idols work. People follow idols. She's
Mhm.
an idol.
Yes.
There are going to be more idols coming out of Ramapo. There's going to be more idols, and every kid is going to want to be just like them. They're not going to.
Therefore, that religion can't be that bad if if she became one. Can't be that bad. Yeah.
Maybe there's something too.
Morphing. Talk about morphing. Oh my goodness. You got to have an imagination, and they have very good imaginations. Very good imaginations.
I don't know if I think I said this when Barbara Anderson was on with Rick, and I called up. That's the only time I've ever been on anything, and it was about the fact that they're listening, and I'm not. Let me just say this. Let me just say this. Remember the scene in Clint Eastwood when he said, "Go ahead, make my day." You better stay out of my way. But anyway, back to my thing was somebody I know knew Prince really well.
Mm-hmm.
Prince was very sincere. Prince was very sincere about the religion. But he was so out there with he didn't feel like there was any restraint on, like I'm sure when he surfed the internet, I don't know how he avoided real issues with it, but he was good friends with the guy, Larry there. And Larry's deep. He's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Last I heard. I don't know how anybody can stay uninformed these days, but some people want to.
Yeah.
And Prince, I'm sure, had influence on people about this because he was very public about it.
Yeah.
And
I've seen some of the interviews.
Look, what predictive programming is.
Mhm.
You watch a program and you see something happen in it. Well, it's predicted. Basically, they're showing you what's going to happen soon in a large way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All these, as far as I'm concerned, all these creatures, all these larger than life witnesses, they're all predictive programming for us.
Mm.
Showing them, look, here's what it's going to be. Here's what it's going to be. It's going to change. It's going to change. Watch it change. You'll see.
Yeah.
And look, they're making that place in Ramapo. It's Hollywood East. And
Yeah.
everything is going to be productions, movies, movie stars, idols, idol worshiper. I want to just be just like them. And
I think Kimmy Brooks. I think Kimmy Brooks just recently exposed they got a lot of stock in Disney, and Disney connections are good for movie making.
yeah, no, they're tied right in. They're tied right in with them. They know how to position themselves for power and for the future. And honestly, what they're doing, I think they have been the right hand arm of the governments to massage the people into a position that the governments couldn't do it on their own through the use of religion.
Yep. We've said it time and time again.
Big fake out. Big fake out. And it works.
Yeah.
That's how you lead people. You lead
Yeah.
people. They're sheep-like. We're not supposed to be sheep-like, but we're sheep-like.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about you. I always took objection to being sheep-like, to being called sheep-like. And it made no sense to me. It's like made in God's image. Made in God. Is God a sheep?
Sheep. Yeah.
Is he a sheep?
Yeah.
I'm made in God's image, and he's a sheep? Well, who leads him around? I don't get it. Why should I be a sheep if I'm made in God's image? Help me understand this. I can't. It was so mind blowing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
That was the level that was put to us to reach, to be a sheep-like person. That's what you aspired to be.
oh, oh.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the red flag level that I ignored, and this is the point I was making to my wife early on. And keep in mind, it's a miracle when people like Joe and Fran and me and my wife get out of this and stay together. It's miraculous, because boy, did I know what she was up against. But anyway, as I was making my appeals very gently over time, and I'm not trying to move her in any direction, she's definitely been in a different place in the religion than I was. I would describe myself as full on, completely submerged, and she was always retaining herself, right? So,
Yeah.
but she was still disturbed. She was pioneering when I started nibbling at these issues, and I didn't even know half of it, not even a tenth of what I know now. But anyway, here's my point. I said to her, as she was very kind of disturbed, as it often happens, and I said to her, all of the weirdness, all of the strangeness, all of these things, that the extremes and the sacrifice and the selflessness and everything that's involved in it is all okay, but it has to be the truth. If it's not, it can't even flinch on being the truth. And here they are saying, don't look behind the curtain. See, to me, they don't have a right to not be the truth, and they're not. So that's all. I don't know how that gets across, but it's all fine. Blood transfusions, everything else.
Yeah.
Let me give a quick story. There's an old author, he was a prominent pediatrician named Robert Mendelsohn. He wrote a book I have called Confessions of a Medical Heretic.
Yeah.
And you remember that guy? Okay, well, I saw him speak about 3 times. One time was in Los Gatos, California, and me and 2 other brothers were in there. At the time, I was a brother. Okay, so this is in the 80s, maybe 83. So he told the story about the Watchtower Society asking him to assist in a court case in Canada about blood. And so he actually said to this audience, about 80 people, 3 witnesses, he said, if the and this is about medical truth. I've always approached blood transfusions as a medical thing. I mean, you shouldn't get one unless you really need it. It's not good. And they usually give them 1 pint or 2 pints. So I think some of the apostate overreach on blood transfusions is, but here, letting children die, I understand. But here's my point. He said, if the doctor threatens you with a blood transfusion, tell him you're a Jehovah's Witness. And man, the crowd was going, they were recoiling, and me and the other brother were looking at each other kind of smiling. But anyway, so things are, and the blood transfusion thing, I could comment at length about, because currently, just a note, if you get a blood transfusion now, you cannot guarantee that the blood donor was not vaccinated. You, therefore, if you didn't want to be vaccinated and took a blood transfusion, I mean if it's a pint, you are now vaccinated. You are now
That's
vaccinated.
interesting.
So
Wow.
I know people are troubled. I'm not trying to stir up controversy.
No, no.
Believe
Mhm.
you don't want to hear what I have to say about vaccination.
Good point.
Yeah. I heard my timer go off. I heard the timer in the studio go off, so I think my time is up, guys.
We're done.
Yeah.
Fun all night.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to make way for Linda now. I'm curious to see how long she'll be on, but thank you so much for helping me fill in the time. This is a good conversation. Too bad I couldn't read the chat because I don't have my glasses on, but
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good chats in there.
really?
Get together on FaceTime. Yep.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, I appreciate the
Call me still the time, man.
appreciate
Yeah. Well, that's it for another episode of After the Storm. It's just a real casual conversation. Thank you for hanging in with me, Joe and Fran and John. Your input too. This was very lively. I do hope that each week, new people coming in, they'll get a different nugget, something different. Because what I'm finding is that different things wake up different people. For instance, you talked about 607. That wouldn't have woken me up. Well, matter of fact, my brother brought it to my attention, and I'm like, so? And then when he broke it down, I'm like, oh, because what woke me up. So yeah, yeah. So that you, yeah, there were a lot of good points tonight, and I want to thank you guys for your input. And
Oh,
so we will be back in 2 weeks with Dom the hypnotist. A lot of people were trying to get in a couple weeks ago, and hopefully we can get more of our questions answered about being in a trance, getting out of a trance, unbrainwashing ourselves, and how hypnotherapy will help. So that will be the topic of discussion in 2 weeks.
no, I look forward
Sounds
to that.
good,
That's
Gail.
very valuable.
hmm Thank you. And look out for the poll in the Facebook group, Houston or Dallas on April the 2nd. All right. We look forward to meeting each of you in person, and I'm so excited. And so, yeah, let's give way for Apasta Babe, our favorite apostate. She's up next. So, everybody, have a good night. Thanks for joining us again.
Well, thank you, Gail. Thank you very much for coming in, and all those that came in as well, Joe and Fran, and all your guests. We really appreciate it tonight. So appreciate the program, Gail. Thank you very much. We're now
Thank
going to
you.
be we're now going to be going to Apostle Babe's program, Linda James, Healing After the Watchtower. So let's see what's going on here. I don't know if Linda's on with us or not, but let me just check and see what's happening here tonight. And there she is. Apostle Babe is on here with us. So thank you guys for coming in tonight. So anyways, let's see what's happening here. We got Apostle Babe on. Let's just check our let's check and see if we got a good sound connection here. Hello? Hello, Linda. Did the telephone line's still up? Yeah. All right, Linda. So, anyways, can you hear me, Linda? All right. All right. So, you sound good. Yeah, the sound is good. Sound is good. So let's see if we can't get you in here tonight and get things rolling here. Things are going pretty well. So let me introduce the program. So let me bring you out, and we'll bring you back in, and let's do that right now. So let's go live. Let me make sure we got the sound clips up. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me just.
The conference has been locked.
Okay. So we're going to go live here. Just give me 1 second to make sure we get it all set and ready to go.
Rick, this stream is still living. I mean, this
Yep.
this live is still streaming. I
Well,
forget.
well, we got you. Thank you, Gail. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, we'll take care of that right now. Let me just check this out. Okay. Okay. Let's stop this one. All right.